The Adopt a River program, as a vehicle for integrated water resources management, contributes to various facets of a diversified water management approach, including changing culture through youth education, empowering communities through water access projects such as rainwater harvesters, and the protection of watersheds through various interventions such as reforestation and landslip control measures. The enabling environment for the work of the program stems from the oversight and confidence of both the Green Fund and the Ministry of Public Utilities to adopt an approach to water management that expands beyond water production to include water source protection. We would like to expressly thank the Green Fund and the Ministry of Public Utilities for enabling the work of the Adopt a River program and its drive to advance IWRM in Trinidad and Tobago. To declare our conference open, please join me in welcoming the Honourable Minister of Public Utilities, Mr. Marvin Gonzeles.
Officials of the Ministry of Public Utilities and other government agencies, the management and members of staff of the Water and Sewerage Authority and the Water Resource Agency, specially invited guests, members of the media, and everyone watching or listening online. It is a pleasure and an honor to be given the opportunity to address you at the Adopt a River 5th Annual Conference. Events like these are critical to the continued evolution of the water sector because they provide us with an invaluable opportunity to share information, adjust our focus, and realign our efforts so that we are all working towards a common goal. In short, they serve as catalysts for positive change. This event is no different in that regard, and it is my hope that we will all make the most of the opportunities presented today so that we can return to our various spheres of influence with newly acquired skills and an inspiration to make a positive difference. Before we proceed with today's discussion, I must carry out one of the tasks usually assigned to the opening speaker, which is to address some foundational concepts. And so I would like us to consider this question: why are our rivers and by extension the watersheds that sustain them so important? Watersheds are geographical areas that feed rivers, streams, and other sources of fresh water. These water sources have been a part of our natural landscape for as long as human beings can remember. Life as we know it would not have been possible without them. In fact, scientists and people who are familiar about these things call them the arteries of our planet. Like forests, they all support vast ecosystems. Tens of thousands of species of plants and animals rely on them for survival, and we do as well. If you were to look at any map, one of the things that you would immediately notice is that villages, towns, and cities usually develop along rivers. That simple fact reflects how important they are to human beings as a collective. Over the centuries, we have used rivers to fuel the growth of our civilizations. They have provided us with food and fresh water, irrigated our crops, and driven our various industries. But, as is the case for so many of our natural resources, we have poisoned the very things that give us life. Rivers all over the world are dying from pollution, deforestation, and changes in weather patterns caused by climate change. The results are flash floods on one extreme, drought on the other, and a decrease in the availability of fresh water suitable for human and other consumption. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, our rivers have been impacted in similar ways. The Diego Martin and East Dry rivers, for example, can flood their surrounding communities at the slightest event of rainfall. And according to data collected by Adopt a River, 64% of the sites tested across our twin islands have poor water quality, while 83% exhibit high habitat impairment and 100% contain high levels of heavy metals. The global degradation of this essential resource has led the United Nations to include as part of its 2030 agenda for sustainable development a goal dedicated to water and sanitation. That goal, called SDG 6, is geared towards, and I quote, ensuring the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, end quote. And one of its targets acknowledges the importance of an enabling environment, specifically when it comes to capacity building and the active participation and involvement of local communities. The Adopt a River program was established specifically to help foster such an environment. Initially set up for the purpose of evolving communities and corporate entities in the improvement and sustainable use of our local watersheds, the program has been reoriented to provide greater focus on the sustainable development of water sources from rural intakes. It will do so through the implementation of holistic projects that, 1, sustainably develop local sources of water, 2, protect and rehabilitate the environment upstream of the sources, and 3, build capacity and awareness of residents to manage, conserve, and protect their water sources. Already, 76 projects have been identified to develop surface water and springs in rural communities across the country in 3 phases. This new trajectory aims to urgently alleviate the water supply challenges of water-impoverished communities, protect and rehabilitate the environment, encourage community participation in the management of water resources, and develop community resilience to the impacts of disaster and climate change. As you can see, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, through the Ministry of Public Utilities, is utilizing an agile and responsive approach to the many challenges facing the water sector. Much like the resource that we have set out to protect, we will flow around, under and through any hindrances to the overall objective of securing a sustainable water future for Trinidad and Tobago. To me, there can be no better analogy than water and how it flows to illustrate what is required of us as we move into the era now known as the Anthropocene. The term Anthropocene can be defined as a current geological age during which human activity is the dominant influence on climate and the environment. To put it in layman's terms, we are messing things up on a grand scale. Undoing that damage and tilting the balance towards a sustainable future requires innovative thinking and a readiness to develop and use relevant technologies. This is being done the world all over in many areas, including the water sector. Researchers in India, for example, have come up with a water purification system that uses nanotechnology. And I am sure that you are already aware of solar-powered filtration or of amazing innovations like fog catchers that collect water from the air via condensation. But besides these more sensational and user-friendly applications, technology can be used to increase productivity, efficiency, and cost savings, reduce product waste, chemicals and resources, and measure, analyze, and track progress, all of which can help to shift our trajectory towards a more sustainable outcome. And so, I look forward to hearing about creative and innovative ways in which we can utilize technology to secure and sustain our water resources. And more importantly, I look forward to seeing them implemented in our day-to-day interactions with this most precious resource. The time for talking and dreaming is long gone. Now is the time for action. Our future and our children's future depend on it. I thank you all for your time and attention, and I do now declare the Adopt a River Program 5th Annual Conference open. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you to the Honourable Minister of Public Utilities, Mr. Marvin Gonzeles.